Janet supports a variety of large national and international projects. Its specific role in education and research gives these groups access to networking resources which would simply not be available otherwise.
Quite frankly, research would just be non-existent if there was no network such as Janet. I cannot think of any world-class research area that doesn't rely upon collaboration between experts in remote corners of the world and upon the network to be able to transfer scientific data between those people.
The grid is a network of geographically dispersed computers that together provide considerable processing power that may otherwise be unavailable to a single researcher or organization. At CERN, experiments into the nature of matter and the Big Bang are to be conducted using the Large Hadron Collider, LHC. This will generate phenomenal amounts of data that in turn demand new techniques for collecting, analyzing and sharing data. The LHC will collect over 10 million terabytes of data, far more than can be stored at CERN. And it is through grid technologies that this data can be broken down into manageable chunks and distributed to research centres throughout Europe, including the Rutherford Appleton Laboratory in Oxfordshire. The scientists involved from around the world are able to collaborate effectively through the benefits of the latest access grid video conferencing technology. This effectively reduces the time and costs normally associated with organising meetings for internationally dispersed individuals. The versatility of Janet means that national projects like NERC, the Natural Environment Research Council, can now manage data like never before.
The purples show lower concentrations and the reds show higher concentrations. This can be used by anyone in the UK or indeed overseas who has access and permission to use our website.
NERC can now analyse sea surface temperature measured by the concentration of the highly reflective plankton Emiliano huxleyi in near real time, all thanks to Janet.
Well, Janet is pretty much crucial for our work. The reason being is that what my group fundamentally does is to process satellite images. We need a very fast connection to transfer those images. This is what Janet provides.
Professor Kevin Warwick has undergone 2 different medical procedures to research cyborg technologies and neuroscience. In 2002, he had an electrode array implanted in his arm.
What I've got here, it's very, very small. But in fact it is 100 electrodes. There's 100 very, very small pins, and they were fired into the nervous system in my left arm.
He was then able to control a robotic arm by simply moving his own hand.
I went to New York, to Columbia University, and what we did was to put my nervous system live onto the internet. Even had an IP address. So what happened was, as I moved my hand in New York, my neural signals from my brain which were doing that, went out across the internet, over Janet, to the robot hand which was in the UK, in Reading University. So my neural signals in New York were controlling the robot hand via Janet in UK, in Reading University. Not only that, but the fingertip sensors from the robot hand were giving signals which were fed back via Janet, via the internet, playing down onto my nervous system to stimulate my nervous system. So effectively I could feel how much force the robot hand was applying. So my brain signals were controlling a robot hand, and I was feeling what the robot hand was feeling via Janet on a different continent. Tremendously exciting.
This technology could allow skilled surgeons to operate across networks, perhaps from an entirely different nation to the patient.
With little robots we can actually see how machines think for themselves, and what the robots are doing in the arena is moving around, trying to satisfy the goal of moving forwards but not bumping into anything. And essentially they have to learn what to do with their wheels, moving them forwards and backwards to achieve that goal. We carried out an experiment a short while ago though, where one of my researchers, Ian, went over to New York with one of the robots, and the robot that stayed in the UK moved around and learned. Then, via the internet, via Janet, the brain of the robot essentially programmed the robot in New York to behave in exactly the same way.
Janet is paving the way for more and more creative use of technology, allowing today's ideas to become tomorrow's realities.